Hello. So welcome to our next chapter, most awaited chapter, that is your TDS and TCS. So I've got a lot of messages for summarizing TDS and TCS and making a video of it. So your first part, so starting with TDS and TCS, what is the difference? So first of all, that you have to remember, TDS is tax deducted at source. That means that the buyer himself will be the person who will deduct tax. So in TDS, it is deducted by the buyer himself. That means, for example, you are purchasing something from someone. Now, if you have to pay them 100 rupees, instead of 100 rupees, what will you do? You will pay them 90 rupees, and 10 rupees you will keep with yourself as tax deducted. And this 10 rupees you will be depositing it to the government on their behalf. So instead of paying them full 100, you will pay them 90, and the rest 10 rupees you will pay to the government directly. That is your TDS, that is the tax is deducted by the buyer itself. Okay. Now TCS is collected by the seller. TCS is collected by the sellers. Of course, there are some certain transactions where TDS is applicable. There are some transactions where TCS is applicable, and there are some transactions on which both TDS and TCS are applicable. So therefore, please remember to solve this chapter from your question bank, because you will get a greater understanding from it. So your TCS is collected from your seller. Okay, so TCS is collected by the seller. Next is, tax will be deducted only if the amount is taxable in the hands of the receiver. Why do you deduct? Why do we do TDS? Why is tax deducted at source? Because the government want that since this person has earned income, they want that automatically a portion of this income which has to be paid in taxes given to them. But if this income itself is not taxable to the receiver, then in such a case there is no point of only TDS, because there is no tax on this income. So what is the point of tax deduction? Therefore, tax deducted only if amount is taxable in the hands of the receiver. Next is your TDS is to be deducted on value excluding GST component. For example, you purchase something for 100 rupees, and on that the person put 18% GST, getting the total to 118. Now, for example, if your TDS rate is 10%, your doubt will come, sir, this 10% do I have to calculate on 100 or do I have to do it on 118? So over here you have to do it excluding your GST value, that is you will do 10% on 100. Okay, so that is your TDS. And next is, in case of payment to your non-resident or any foreign company, that is your NR or FC, cess has to be added to your TDS or TCS rates. Cess is basically your 4% health and education cess, that has to be added. So over and above the rates that I've given, you have to add 4% health and education cess. Okay. Now, in case the SSC has deducted the amount but not paid to the government, so there can be two cases. Either the SSC forgot to deduct, he entered into a transaction where he was liable to deduct TDS, but he forgot to deduct the TDS. So that is one case where government will charge interest, and second is where he he had to deduct tax. He deducted tax, but he forgot to give it to the government. He forgot to submit it to the deposit it with the government. So SSC will be in default if either he is not deducted at all, or he has deducted but not paid to the government. So these are your two cases where your SSC will be in default. So your first case is, interest will be charged at 1% per month or part thereof if TDS has been deducted late. That is, the person forgot to deduct TDS only. So if you have deducted TDS late, that will be taxed at the rate, that will be charged interest at the rate of 1%. And next is your 1.5% per month or part thereof if TDS was paid late. Because in this, what have you done? You have already taken money from the person, you have kept it with you, you did not give it to the government, because that is not your money. Therefore, there is a higher interest rate in such a case, that is 1.5%. Okay, now there are some transactions, some cases where if the payee has not furnished PAN, or if the buyer has not furnished PAN, your rates will be changed. That is, whatever rates have been given, some other rates will be applicable if PAN has not been given. So section 206AA talks about if your payee has not furnished PAN, that is in case of TDS. So if your payee has not furnished PAN, the rate at which the tax shall be deducted, that will be higher of rate as per respective section. That is, whatever that rate says, whatever that section says, or 20%, whichever is higher. But for sections 194O and 194Q, 194O is your e-commerce operator. So in such a case, it will only be 5% for them. Got it? So rate as per section or 20%, whichever is higher. This is what section 206 double A says, because PAN was not furnished. Now there's a similar section for TCS also, that is 206 CC. That is for TCS. That is, if the buyer has not furnished PAN, if the buyer has not furnished PAN, then the seller will deduct TDS at higher rate of 2 times into rate as per respective section, or 5%, whichever is higher. Why? Because your TCS rates are comparatively lower. Therefore, instead of this 20%, this is 5%, and instead of rate as per respective section, this is 2 times the rate of respective section. Okay, because your TCS rates are very low compared to your TDS rates. Therefore, over here 2 has been multiplied. Whichever is higher, at this rate, your TDS will be deducted. Then is your section 206 AB. So over here there is an amendment. So 206 AB or 206 CCA says, if return is not filed, if return has been not filed for last year, and TDS and TCS. So why I have put two sections? Because one is for TDS, one is for TCS, but the provision is same. So all you have to remember is the provision. Forget the section. Even if you don't remember it, it is not a very big deal. Remember the provision. So if the return has not been filed for the last year, and the TDS or TCS collected is greater than or equal to rupees 50,000, in such a case, section 206 AB and section 206 CCA will become applicable. Now, what does this section say? That it will be at 2 times the rate as per respective section, or 5%, whichever is higher. At this percentage, you will have to deduct the tax, that is your TDS, or you will have to collect tax. Now this is not applicable to section 192, 192A, 194B, 194BB, that is your horse racing, lottery, etc., etc. 194 IA, 194 IB, 194 LBC, and 194L. This is your cash withdrawal section. Okay, so we will be remembering the sections. Don't worry. So just that these sections will not be applicable for 206 AB and CCA will not be applicable to this section. Otherwise, it is 2 times the rate or 5%, whichever is higher, similar to this section, that is your 206 CC. Okay. Now coming to when do you have to make a payment, and when you deduct, you also have to you also have to submit a statement. So for TDS, your payment has to be monthly. So for April to Feb, whatever TDS, whatever tax you deduct during the month of April to Feb, you have to submit it. You have to give it to the government by 7th of the next month. For example, you deducted any tax in the month of April. Now, what do you have to do? All the tax that you have deducted during the month of April, you have to remit this to the government by 7th of May, that is 7th of next month. Okay, so for April to Feb, it is 7th of next month. For March, only for the month of March, it is 30th April of the financial year. Okay, so instead of 7th April, it is basically 30th April. Okay, so this was your TDS. Now TCS is your 7th of next month. That is when you have to make the payment to the government, and return has to be filed quarterly. So for the quarters ending June, September, December, that is your April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So for these three quarter ending, it is 31st of next month. You have to file a return. But for the month of March, it is 31st of May. This is with regards to TDS. Now with regards to TCS, it is 15th of next month, and for March, instead of 15th April, this will be 15th May. Okay, so I hope these dates are clear. And yeah, we will be starting with TCS after this. And yeah, great. So how I have arranged these sections. So your TCS is where the seller is the person who collects the tax collected at source. So how I have arranged these sections? I have arranged these sections in the ascending order of their rate. That means your rate starts with the lowest and ultimately increases, so that it is easier for you to remember that, boss, I read this section somewhere up. That means the rate will be something lower only. So that you remember that where I read this section, so that during exams also you do not make a mistake. So first is your section 206C1H. 206C1H is applicable on sale of goods aggregate more than 50 lakhs. So when sale of goods per supplier is more than 50 lakhs, in such a case, TCS will become applicable at the rate of 0.1%. This is the lowest rate of TCS, therefore this is first. So that is 2061H. Important section, please solve questions. I will only be briefing through the provisions. Question solving is your part. So that is at 0.1% TCS will be collected. Seller turnover or gross receipts has to be greater than 10 crore in last previous year, and no TCS if TDS has already been deducted under section 194Q. So if TDS has already been deducted under 194Q, then this section will not be applicable. And the seller's turnover or gross receipts has to be greater than 10 crore in the last previous year. Only then will he be allowed to collect TCS at the rate of 0.1%. So I hope section 2061H is clear. Sale of goods more than 50 lakhs, rate is 0.1%. Seller's turnover or gross receipts in last year has to be greater than 10 crore. Only and only then will you be allowed to collect TCS. And if it has already been deducted under section 194Q, no TCS should be no TCS should be collected under this section. Okay, so we are done with 2061H. Now next section is your 2061. 2061 has basically three items. First is your alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Second is your scrap. And third is your mineral and coal, that is lignite iron. So all these minerals. On this, all of these have a rate of 1%. Okay, so section 2061, all of them have a rate of 1%. Alcoholic liquor, scrap, and your minerals. Alcoholic liquor, scrap, and your minerals. That is your 2061. Okay. Now next is 2061F. 2061F talks about motor vehicles. So how do you remember this section? F stands for Ford. That is your Ford car. Therefore, it is a motor vehicle. Okay. So your motor vehicle rate is again 1%, and only it will TCS will be collected only if the consideration is greater than rupees 10 lakhs, and it will only be collected on retail store. Okay, so that is from manufacturers, it will not be collected, but it will only be collected on retail stores. If the value of consideration is more than 10 lakhs, it will be collected at 1%. Motor vehicles 206C1F. Okay, 1 for F for Ford. Great. So your next section is 2061C. 2061C talks about lease or parking lot, toll plaza, mine, and quarry. So these have a section have a rate of 2%. Okay, so that is your 2061C. Next is your 2061. So now all of these, this is your timber and any other foreign products and any tendu leaves. So tendu leaves, remember TENDU, tendu. Okay, so tendu has 5 letters. Therefore, your TCS rate is 5% for tendu. And timber and other foreign products is TCS rate is 2.5%. Okay, so if you know Hindi, so in Hindi we 2.5 is called as dhai. Okay, so since timber and other foreign products, since you will be cutting the timber trees, they will die. They will die. Therefore, your rate is 2.5%. Okay, so this we are done with 206C1. And last is your section 206C1G. Okay, so 206C1G talks about remittance outside India. So if the remittance is outside India and it is not for education purpose, then in such a case, your TCS rate will become 5%. However, if this remittance outside India is for education purpose, your TCS rate instead of 5%, it will become 0.5%. Okay, so because this remittance is for education purpose, instead of 5%, this will be 0.5%. And any sale of overseas tour package, that is any tour package which is being conducted outside India, in such a case, your TCS rate will be 5%. Now, this remittance that I was telling you, it will only and only be TCS will only be collected if this remittance is more than 7 lakhs. Okay, if it is greater than 7 lakhs, it will, and it will only be collected on excess. What does this mean? That for example, I remitted 10 lakhs. So this 5% or this 0.5%, it will only be calculated on my balancing figure, on my balance figure. That is, it will only be calculated on 3 lakhs, only on the amount excess of 7 lakhs. Okay, I hope these sections are clear. So 2061G means आप घर से बाहर जा रहे हो, घर से दूर जा रहे हो, therefore G for घर, and 2061G. Okay, I hope this was helpful. And after TCS, now we are doing with TDS. So TDS has a comparatively bigger table. So let's start with TDS. Now your TDS, so TDS also rates, if you notice, I have all put them according to order of rate. That is, your rate will increase eventually. So it will start from the lowest. If you see, I'll just scroll through the scene. It is 0.1%, 1%, 1%, 2%. Now this section 194I has two rates. Therefore, I had to put 10% over here. Otherwise, it is 2%, 5%, 5%, 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, 20%, and end में that is 30% and slab rate. So just by remembering that on what page you had studied this, or whether it was upper or lower, you will be able to remember that was what rates were these. As simple as easy as possible, I've made this chapter for you. So section, let's quickly go through this. I will not be able to explain in detail. Section 194Q, 194Q, if you remember, we had also studied while doing TCS. So since 194Q is also on purchase of goods, if it is already deducted under 194Q, it will not be deducted, it will not be collected under TCS. So 194Q is for purchase of goods. Who is the payer? Payer is the buyer of the goods, and payee is the resident seller, that is the person who is selling the goods. Okay, your rate will be 0.1%. That is the TDS rate at which it will be deducted. Now some important points that you have to note: there will be no TDS up to 50 lakhs. Now what does this mean? When a transaction is 50 lakhs or less, including 50 lakhs, okay, since it says no TDS up to 50 lakhs, which means it also includes 50 lakhs. So 50 lakh 1 rupee and there will be TDS. So no TDS up to 50 lakhs, and TDS will only be on the excess amount. That is only the amount that is above 50 lakh, only TDS will be collected on that. The next is no TDS if TDS under section 194O. 194O is your e-commerce operator. This is your this section, payment by e-commerce. So if it has already been deducted under 194O, then you do not need not deduct under section 194Q. Next is no TDS if TCS under section 206C1, 1F or 1G. In such a case, there will be no TDS if TCS has already been deducted, if TCS has already been collected under section 206C1, 1F and 1G. And last is no TDS if it is traded through a recognized stock exchange. Okay, so in such a case, there will be no TDS. That is your section 194Q. Now your section 194IA, 194IA, how do you learn this? IA stands for immovable asset. IA stands for immovable asset. So therefore, purchase of immovable property, immovable asset. Therefore, section 194 IA. Payer can be any. Payee will be your resident person. That is your RP. Rate will be 1%. Now 1% of what? There is an amendment here for May 23. Therefore, you have to keep in mind it is 1% of higher of C or SDV. C stands for consideration and SDV stands for your stamp duty value. So because it is your immovable property, you also have to consider your stamp duty value. So this is an amendment for May 2023. It is 1% of higher of consideration of stamp duty value. Whichever is higher, it will be 1% of that amount. So remember this during the exam. Wherever there are amendments in the notes, I have added an A so that it is easier for you to notice where there are amendments and pay special focus on them. Okay. No TDS if consideration and SDV is up to 50 lakh. That means both of them have to be up to 50 lakh. Your consideration also and your stamp duty value, both of them have to be up to rupees 50 lakh. That is maximum 50 lakhs. If either of them is above 50 lakhs, you will be charged TDS. Okay, and next is it includes everything like parking, etc. So when you purchase a immovable property, you are paying, of course, some amount for the money for the flat itself, but you will also be paying some parking charges, etc., etc. So everything will be included. Okay, so this they had tested in your July 2021 exam. That is when I had written this paper, and I did this part wrong because I did not have proper notes. So therefore, do not make this mistake. Everything is included in this, and this that is your section 194 IA. So we have done section 194Q, 194 IA. Now next section that we are doing is your section 194O. How do you learn section 194O? 194O is eco. Therefore, section 194O. So any payment by your e-commerce, that is your electronic commerce operator, e-commerce operator. For example, that is your Amazon, Ola, etc., etc. All of these are e-commerce. So your payer will be your eco and your payee will be your eco participant. That is the person who is providing the services through eco. So in such a case, the rate will be 1% of gross amount. Okay. However, there will be no TDS if all have been satisfied. Remember, all of them have to be satisfied. First, your payee has to be an individual. So if you are an individual supplying through an eco, no TDS will be deducted, provided you follow the other two conditions as well. Only then no TDS will be deducted. So payee is an individual. Second is gross sale through eco is up to 5 lakh. That is the sale that you're doing through eco. They have to be within the limit of 5 lakhs. If they exceed 5 lakhs, then TDS will be deducted. And third condition, payee has to furnish PAN to eco. So your eco should have PAN details of the payee. So for example, you are an Ola driver. Now you're an Ola driver. Ola is your eco and you are an eco participant. That is your electronic commerce operator participant. So you will have to satisfy three conditions. First is you have to be an individual. Second is your sales, your total of rides that you have done. It should not be greater than rupees 5 lakh, maximum 5 lakh. And third is you should have given them your PAN card. In such a case, no TDS needs to be deducted. Clear? So that is your 194O, that is eco. Okay. Next is your 194S. This is the new section that has been added. That is your transfer of VDA. VDA stands for a virtual digital asset. All your crypto, your NFTs, that is your non-fungible tokens. All of these come under virtual digital assets. That is your section 194S. Now this section has become applicable from 1st July 2022. So you will have to remember these dates because any transactions before this TDS will not be attracted. Therefore, only from 1st July 22 TDS will become applicable. Now your payer can be any, but if you see I have colored this blue. So what does the blue color mean? Your blue color means that if their last year turnover is greater than 1 crore in case of business or greater than 50 lakhs in case of profession, then they are these people covered under blue. So only and only if your last year turnover was more than 1 crore, if you are in the business field, or if it was more than 50 lakhs in your profession field, only then will we allow you to collect TDS from the person. So that is your any. So if you see, this is not blue, this is blue. So if this person has this specified turnover, in such a case, no TDS needs to be deducted up to 50,000. However, if the payer is not one of them, if he does not satisfy those criteria, then no TDS will be deducted up to 10,000, and above 10,000 TDS will be deducted. Got it? Your payee is your resident person and rate is 1%. So if you see, we are still at 1%, and this is somewhat our last section where 1% is used, because under section 194C, 1% and 2% both have been used. Okay, so this is your transfer of VDA. Remember, this section I am pretty sure will come in your exam because this is an amendment. Okay, now coming to your next section, that is your 194C. 194C is your TDS on contract. How do you remember this? C for contract, 194C, C for contract. Okay, so that is your section 194C. Now, of course, again over here it is blue. That means it is the same limits. Clear? Okay. So this is the same limits. Only and only if the person satisfies those limits will they be allowed to deduct TDS. If your pay is an individual or an HUF, rate will be 2%. However, if they are other than individual or HUF, rate will be 2%. Sorry. If they are individual or HUF, rate will be 1%. If they are any other apart from individual and HUF, rate will be 2%. Okay. Now there will be no TDS. No TDS. This single contract is up to 30,000 and aggregate contract is up to 1 lakh. That is, one single contract is up to 30,000, no TDS. If all contracts bought together, if that is up to 1 lakh, no issues. But the moment it goes above 1 lakh, TDS will be deducted. Okay. Next is if it is a contract for personal purpose, that is not for business purpose. And last is the transporter owns 10 or less vehicles. So if the transporter owns 10 or less vehicles, there will be no TDS deducted. Okay, so if you remember, we had also done this under presumptive taxation, that he should not own more than 10 vehicles. Clear? So I hope this section is clear. That is your section 194C. Okay. Now if you remember, we had already done section 194A. Now we are doing section 194I. We had already done section 194IA, that is your immovable asset. So now we are doing section 194I. What does 194I says? 194I says that you have to deduct TDS on rent that you have received by renting plant and machinery or land and building and furniture. Okay, so how do you learn this? Any land and building. So I stands for ilaka. So in your ilaka, there is land, there is building, there is some plant and machinery. Therefore, section 194I. In Hindi, ilaka means area. So therefore, 194I, rent of plant and machinery, rent of land and building and furniture. So of course, over here also, these are blue. Great. So if you want to remember, if you notice, where section 194H also has blue, section 194I also has blue, then section 194, just a second, section 194J also has blue, 194A also has blue, and the one that we studied, section 194C, this also has blue. So the key to remember which ones are blue is hijack, HIJAC. These are your sections. And now that the section that have been added, that is your section 194S, is also blue. And section 194R, this has also been added, this is also new. Okay, so section hijack SR. So basically hijackers. So all of these sections will have your payee as a payer as a blue person. Great. So that is your section 194I, that is rent on plant and machinery, rent on land, building, furniture. Your this will be your resident person, any rate will become 2%. So for plant and machinery, your plant and machinery rate is 2%. For land and building and furniture, your rate will be 10%. And no TDS if the rent is up to 2.4 lakhs per annum. No TDS in such a case if it is up to. So remember, some places they have used the word up to, and some places they have used the word less than. That means over here, for example, if you read no TDS if amount is less than 1 lakh. That means if the amount is dot 1 lakh, there will be TDS. So please make sure you remember these words carefully. Where they have written up to, where they have written less than, where they have written not more than, etc. etc. Great. So this is your section 194I. Now I'm trying so that you remember the section number also at the same time as you are watching the video. Next section is your 194N. N stands for Notebandi. So Notebandi that we had done, that was for cash withdrawal above 1 crore. Okay, so that therefore section 194N, cash withdrawal above rupees 1 crore. Bank any rate will be 2%. Now this rate is usually 2%. However, if the return has not been filed in the last 3 assessment years, that is, if this person has not filed return in the last 3 assessment years, then any withdrawal from 20 lakhs to 1 crore, on that there will be 2% on it. That is, for example, if you withdrew 80 lakhs, so till 20 lakhs there is nothing, but from 20 lakhs to 80 lakhs, that is the balance 60 lakhs, that will be deduct on that TDS will be deducted at 2%. Okay, and if any amount more than 1 crore, then it will be 5% on excess. Okay, I hope this is clear to you. Usually 2%, otherwise 2% and 5% if return is not filed for last three assessment years. Okay, so that is your section 194N. N stands for Nodebandi. Next is your section 194D. D stands for Dalal, that is your agent. So if you remember insurance agents, a lot of insurance agents, so that is section 194D. D for Dalal, that is insurance commission. Insurance company pays insurance commission to the agent. Now our 1% rates are over, 2% rates are over. Now we are coming to our 5% range. Okay, so 194D, that is your insurance commission. TDS will be deducted at 5%. However, no TDS if commission is up to 15,000 rupees per annum. If the insurance agent is earning a mere 15,000 rupees per annum, then no need for TDS, no need for tax deduction. Clear? That is your section 194D. Now 194DA stands for maturity proceeding after life insurance. Okay, so this is death after life. Great. So 194D, that is maturity proceeding of life insurance. That is any and again TDS rate is 5%. No TDS if amount is less than rupees 1 lakh. That means if amount is equal to 1 lakh, there will be TDS deducted. So no TDS if amount is less than 1 lakh, and TDS will be on what portion? TDS will be only on the maturity proceeds minus the premium that you have paid. For example, you paid a premium of about 10,000 over the last 5 years, and now you receive the maturity proceeds of 1 lakh. Now this TDS that will be deducted will only be on 90,000, because 1 lakh minus 10,000, that is your maturity proceed, what you received due on maturity minus your premium. Okay, so that is 5% on that. Then next is your section 194 G. How do you do 194G? Commission on sale of lottery ticket. Commission on sale of lottery ticket, matlab you have a good luck. Okay, so lottery ticket is good luck. Therefore, section 194G. G stands for good luck. Therefore, section 194G, that is you won the lottery. Commission on sale of lottery ticket. Any again rate is 5%. No TDS if commission is up to 15,000 per annum. This both are the same. Okay, all these three are same because all three are related to commission. Section 194D was insurance commission, 194G is commission on sale of lottery ticket, and 194H is commission and brokerage. All other miscellaneous commission and brokerage come in section 194H. Okay, again over here your NE is a blue person, that is only and only if he satisfies those limits of turnover or your gross receipts, only then can he deduct TDS. Rate is again 5% and no TDS if commission is up to 15,000 per annum. So you have to remember for all the commission related sections, your limit is 15,000. So if you are earning up to 15,000, it is okay, no problem, no TDS. But if you earn more than 15,000, then we will be deducting TDS. That was your section 194H. Coming to your next section, that is section 194IB. We have done section 194IA. We have done section 194I, where I was Ilaka, where you were putting plant and machinery, furniture, etc., on rent. Now we are doing section 194IB. 194IB talks about rent of land and building for those not covered under section 194I. If you scroll up, if you want to scroll up, you see for section 194I also talks about rent. Section 194 IB also talks about rent. What is different? That section 194 I has this person blue. Sir, what if I'm not a blue person? What if I'm not covered under those limits? So section 194 I will not be applicable for me, but section 194 IB will become applicable to me. Got it? Because IB is for bacha people. Therefore, I was ilake ke bacche. Section 194 I was ilaka, of course, bada people. That therefore the limits were defined. Section 194 IB is for smaller people, those who do not match those limits, but they will still have to deduct TDS. So it is ilake ke bacche, that is IB, rent of land and building. If the deductor is those not covered under section 194I, of course, resident person rate is 5% and no TDS if rent is up to 50,000. Remember, this is per month over here. Over here, we had always studied per annum. In this section 194 IB, it is up to 50,000 per month. The moment if it is more than 50,000, then TDS has to be deducted. Okay, great. Next is your section 194M. 194M talks about contract brokerage fees for professional services. So 194M, professional services, we are all CAs. We will render professional service. So M for me. Therefore, section 194M, M for me. So all those people other than 194 C, H or J, if you remember, all of these were commission based. Your C, H and J were commission based. Sorry, your H was commission based. Your C is your contract. So all these people other than this rate is 5% and no TDS if aggregate sum paid is up to rupees 50 lakhs. Okay, so over here the limit is 50 lakhs because you are a CA. You don't talk chota amount 15,000 1 lakh. Now I will talk big amount, that is 50 lakhs. Okay, so that's how you remember this limit. If you are a CA, you have to think big. CA M for me. That's for section 194M. Next is your section 194LB, that is interest on infrastructure debt fund. Interest on infrastructure debt fund. Now infrastructure is basically nothing but what? It is your land and building. Therefore section 194LB, that is LB stands for land and building. Okay, so 194LB, interest on infrastructure debt fund. Infra debt fund pays any interest to your NR or FC, rate will be 5%. Now what you have to remember, this 5% is not 5%. You also have to add HEC at the rate of 4% because it is your NR or FC. Okay, TDS shall be deducted on gross amount. No expense to earn interest to be subtracted. Any expenses that you have incurred to earn this interest, that will not be subtracted. That's what they mean, that it will be paid, that TDS will be paid on the gross amount. That is, no deductions, no subtractions will be allowed. Only and only it will be calculated on the entire interest component. Next is your section 194A. A stands for accumulated balance of PF. Therefore, section 192A. 192A, A stands for accumulated balance of your provident fund, your PF. So it is any and paid to employee. Then in such a case, C, your rate now becomes 10%. So on this page, your last two sections are 10%. Otherwise, up till now that we had studied was 5%, one was 2%, and above that was 1%, and one was 0.1%. Okay, so this is how our flow is going. So accumulated balance of PA, that is your 10%. No TDS if amount is less than 50,000. That is, if it is equal to 50,000, TDS tax will be deducted. Okay. However, if it is less than 50,000, there will be no TDS. Next is your section 194R. This is a new section that has been added from 1st July 2022. So this is your new section that has been added. That is, any perquisite arising from business or profession, any perquisite, any benefit that you receive by running your business profession, on that tax will have to be deducted. So any person over here, of course, it is a blue person, so those limits you have to check. Resident person rate is 10% and no TDS if perquisite amount is up to 20,000 in the previous year. So if it is only 20,000, then like a small amount, you don't have to deduct TDS. It is okay. Clear? So that is your section 194R. Now coming to your section 193. 193 talks about interest on security. So how do you remember this? Free and security rhyme, both of them rhyme. So therefore, interest on security is section 193. Okay, interest on security 3 you can remember, therefore 193. Of course, payer is any pays resident person, rate is now 10%. If you see all these rates are 10%. Got it? So section 193 rate is 10%. No TDS on interest paid to LIC, any government security, any security, section 54 specified security, section 54 EC, there will be no TDS that will be deducted. Okay, that is your section 194.3, that is interest on secure 3. So if you want secure 3, this is how you can remember, so that it is section 193. Next is your interest on other than security. So other than securities means section 194A, that is for other purpose. For other purpose, therefore it is for A, that is 194A. Interest on other than securities, over here also it is a blue person. Remember we did hijack. So your A comes in hijack, therefore it is blue person. Pay is resident person, rate becomes 10%. No TDS if it is paid by bank or post office up to 50,000. In other cases, the limit is 5,000. If it is paid, any interest is paid by the firm to the partner, or any interest on income tax and bank saving, on these there will be no TDS. Otherwise, there will be TDS on interest other than securities at the rate of 10%. Okay, so for bank, office, post office, it is 40,000. For other cases, it is 5,000. And any paid by firm to partner and interest on income tax and bank savings, you will not be getting. That means no TDS will be deducted. Next is your section 194C. 196C, I'm sorry. 196C talks about interest on bonds or dividend that you receive from your GDR. Okay, that is your global depository receipt under section 115 AC. So over here it is only for non-residents. Okay, so if any person pays to non-resident, the rate will be 10%. What you have to remember, this mistake I had done during my exam, therefore I do not want you to do. Since it is an NR over here, this 10% will not be 10%. You also have to add 4% health and education cess. And that is how you will be calculating the rate. Anytime you see NR or FC here, this rate plus 4% health and education cess, that will be your TDS rate. Next is your section 194. 194 talks about dividend income. If the payer is any domestic company, DC stands for domestic company, and your pay is any resident person, your rate will be 10%. And no TDS if dividend amount is up to 5,000. That means if the dividend is 5,000 or less, there will be no TDS. Next is section 194 IC. 194 IC means payment under JDA. So JDA is your joint development agreement, where you give your flat to a builder. He breaks down the flat, makes a very nice building, and gives you a new flat in his building. This is basically what joint arrange. This is basically what your JDA means. So how to learn IC is, you in your life you purchase one house, that is ek ghar. Okay, so that is section 194 IC ik. IC is ik. Therefore you purchase only one ghar in your life. That is your everything. Therefore section 194 IC rate will be 10% under JDA. Next is section 194J. 194J, if you remember, it comes under hijack. So of course our person will be blue over here. That is your professional services. Okay. Pay the resident person, rate is 10%. No TDS if professional fees or technical service or royalty is up to 30,000. That is, when I've written separately, it means professional fees, technical services, and royalty. Each of them have a limit of 30,000. It is not aggregate. No TDS if fees is paid to director under section 192. And if payment has been made to call center or for cinematographic films, TDS rate will be 2%. That is, even though it comes under section 194J instead of 10%, if it is made for any call center or any cinematographic films, your rate will be 2% of TDS. Okay. So coming to our next section, that is section 194 LA. 194 LA talks about compensation for compulsory acquisition of immovable property. Remember, the word over here is compulsory acquisition. You are compulsory taking. So therefore section's name is La. Means La De. Section 194 LA says La De apni property. It is forcefully taking. So compulsory acquisition. Therefore section is 194 LA, that is property La De. So any resident person rate is 10% and no TDS if compensation is up to rupees 2.5 lakhs. If under compulsory acquisition, if the compensation is up to 2.5 lakhs, TDS will not be deducted. Okay. Now next is section 194K, income in respect of units. So if you take your LIC units, kabhi sir nahi jhukega, that is their advertisement ki kabhi sir na jhuke. Therefore, income in respect of units, so that is K, that is kabhi sir nahi jhukega. 194K. UTR mutual fund payment is made to resident person. Rate is again 10% and no TDS if payment is up to 5,000 per annum. Okay, so that is your section 194A. Coming to section 196A. 196A talks about income in respect of units. But what is the difference over here? 194K was for resident person. 196A is also with regards to unit, again from UTR or mutual funds. But over here it is for non-resident or foreign company. That means that is to whom this payment is being made. Therefore, there are two different sections. So for resident person, it is 10%. For NR or FC, this becomes 20%. If this 20%, no, you also have to add health and education cess at the rate of 4%. Only then you will be deducting TDS. Okay, so 194K was that. 196A is income in respect of units. Next section is your 196D, that is interest dividend under section 115 AD. So if any interest or dividend has been paid to any FII, to any uh, foreign institution, that is your FII, under section 115 AD, therefore over here also 196D, your rate will be 20%. And if income is paid to specified funds, then TDS will be at the rate of 10%. So they will mention in the question. So only if it is a specified funds, this will be rate will become 10%. Next is your section 194. You don't worry. Our chapter is overlooked. Over here, this starts a new chapter, that is taxation of investment fund. Over here, this is where our chapter ends. So section 194E, E stands for entertainment. So any payment to NR sports person or entertainer, that is NR. Of course, over here, since it is NR, what you have to remember, it will be 20% plus your health and education cess. Okay. So any NR sports person or any NR entertainer, it will be covered under section 194E. Payment for participation in game, advertisement, newspaper article, all of this is covered. Okay. Next is your section 194B. 194B means winning from lottery, crossword or etc. This means you are bade log. Therefore, section 194B is bade. 194BB is बहुत बड़े. Okay, so 194B में तो you are what? You are winning from lottery, crossword, etc. Under section 194BB you are winning from horse races. So winning from horse races बहुत बड़े लोग. Therefore, it is 194BB. Okay, so 194B is your lottery, crossword. Of course, rate is 30%. No TDS if winning is up to rupees 10,000. If it is only up to 10,000, income tax government says, hey, I don't want your TDS. What chindi 3,000 you will pay me? I don't care. So no TDS if winning is up to 10,000. Over here also no TDS if winning is up to 10,000, 30%. Both these sections are not similar. Just one is your lottery crossword, other is your horse race. Okay, and your section number becomes 194B and 194BB. Next is your salary, that is your section 192. Your salary, any if it is paid to employee, then it will be tax. If your TDS will be deducted at slab rate, an employer should not consider losses other than house property. So that means only and only if you have any losses in house property, only then we will allow you to deduct it. Otherwise, no other losses we will be considering. That is, the employer will not consider before deducting TDS. And last section is your section 194P. 194P talks about pension income and interest on such pension income. So if a scheduled bank is paying interest on pension income to a resident whose age is more than 75, if the scheduled bank is paying any interest to a resident whose age is more than 75 years, he was not required to file ROI, then TDS will be at slab rate. And TDS deducted after giving effect to section 6A deductions and rebate under section 87A. So we have already done both of these. Your section 6A deductions, I have uploaded the video yesterday, day before yesterday itself. And 87A rebate also we have done. Senior citizen should have only such income only and only if the senior citizen has pension income and he is earning some interest on this pension income, only then section 194P will become applicable. Clear? And that's how we are done with this chapter. So if you remember, we had blue person and we had red person also. So red person is if the last year turnover is greater than 10 crore in case of business, then they will have to deduct TDS. So a red person, I'll show you. Our first person only was a red person. Okay, so when your buyer, in such a case, when the buyer's last year turnover was greater than 10 crore, only then will he be allowed to deduct. And any transaction with person in NJA, NJA stands for non-jurisdictional area. So any transaction with person in a NJA attracts 30% tax rate, irrespective of whatever transaction you do. Since that person belongs to NJA, so usually your NJA is your Cyprus. Okay, so that is Cyprus is the country's name, attracts 30% tax rate, and as far as I am aware, this Cyprus has also been removed from the example, but this is the provision. So we will be covering this in depth in transfer pricing. Okay, so all you have to remember is there will be 30% tax rate. And with this, we are done with your TDS and TCS. I hope you have been able to remember sections. And I will also be uploading this file on my Telegram channel. So once this video reaches, if this video has 20 comments, I will upload this TDS file so that it is easier for everyone to learn on the Telegram channel. And I'll see you in the next video, that is taxation of investment fund.